Hello and welcome to episode 175 of The Pitcher or the Hitter, the podcast by the M-SABR Dynasty League for the M-SABR Dynasty League. I am Cam,
I'm Sahil.
and we are live. Not live, we're recording this in 2024, and I'm sure you'll be listening to it in 2025, but we are, for I think only the third time in podcast history, recording in the same room.
Yeah, we recorded once at your parents' place in New Hampshire. I think we recorded live once at my place
In Charlotte,
in
yeah.
Charlotte. Yeah. I think only did once. We didn't do it.
I think it was like episode 99, maybe. It
Uh,
wasn't quite episode 100, but it was almost
you
episode
you
100.
you visited me 3 times in Charlotte. We didn't record when Greg came down, and I don't think we recorded when Lexi came down. So I think it was just the time that
Just the
only you
one.
came down. So yeah, I think this is the third time.
Well, all right.
Live. There you go.
Yeah, we're here in Boston, in Newton, we were in Boston this morning. Now we're in Newton, then we'll be going back into Boston. Yeah, you flew into Logan O'Hoppe Airport,
Yes.
as I had said earlier. Um, it's Here we are. And we got some segments here. We've got a trade to talk about. Maybe we'll get a little bit into the draft if we feel like it, but we have a draft of our own. In fact, we have decided in honor of Ricky Henderson to draft the top draft players who will steal the most bases over the next 5 years.
Yes, if you recall, we did a similar episode with saves a year ago. And we are excited to do this one.
Yeah, let's get into the trade though. I'm pulling it up myself.
Yeah, it was so Ruthvik acquired Cristian Javier from Anthony for Edwin Uceda and Anthony's 2025 third round pick. I guess while Cam is pulling it up, I will start with my thoughts. This feels like a pretty interesting low-cost gamble for Ruthvik. I mean, Cristian Javier was a pretty hot name there for a hot second. So 2022 and 148 and two-thirds innings. He had 1174 K per nine, 315 walk per nine, 103 homer nine. It was a 254 ERA with a 316 FIP. Like, that was very good. He regressed badly the year after. That K rate plummeted to an 883. The homer rate went up. The BABIP kind of normalized a bit, and it was a 456 ERA. Then last year, he threw 34 and two-thirds, not very good innings, and then got hurt. He's under contract through 2027 for the Astros, but he is out, so they are committed to him, but he is not going to pitch until late July, according to Fangraphs, because of an elbow injury. So I think it's a decent low-cost gamble for Ruthvik. I mean, if he can recover his 2022 form, I think that Ruthvik will make out very well. And if he doesn't get there, who cares? You know, he gave up a Holds guy and a third-round pick. I think from Anthony's perspective, you know, sometimes you just need to move on from these guys to like clear up some space. And if, you know, he doesn't believe Javier is going to kind of get back to, you know, where he needs to be, then, you know, I don't blame him for moving on. Especially because Anthony had him on his major league roster because he already has Gavin Stone in his off-season IR, which we have come to refer to as our ouchie list. So
That's right, the ouchie list.
Ouchie list. So yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk about this from the other perspective. Edwin Uceda was damn good last year. 1.51 ERA, 0.82 WHIP. He only pitched 41 innings, but he struck out 57 batters. He only walked 8. He's gonna be the setup man in Tampa this year. And if Pete Fairbanks struggles, I could somewhat easily see him becoming their closer. So that's on one hand, yeah, Ruthvik's kind of gambling on Javier getting back to his upside. He really struggled the last 2 years. But Anthony sees Uceda as someone who can, who's got closer potential. He's got great stuff. His StatCast page looks great. Strikes a ton of guys out, does not allow much hard contact. I could see him being the closer by the end of the year, and if so, and if Javier kind of pitches the way he did this past year, that could be a steal for Anthony.
Yeah. No, I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't have anything else really to add. Um,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, so do we have anything here? The draft, we have a date set. I believe it's in 3 or 4 weeks from
I
now.
think it's January 21st.
January
Don't quote me on that.
21st, that sounds right. So we've got a date set for the draft. Awards voting is open. I have voted and you have not.
Yeah, very, very predictable. I'll make it a priority to go voting soon. Um,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, other than that, we don't have anything to talk about there. Want to dive into our segment?
yeah, let's do it. So yeah, like Cam said earlier, we were picking players who we think will get the most stolen bases over the next 5 years. We are each going to pick 15 names, right? That's what we decided on.
Hmm.
All right. So how are we going to determine who gets the first overall?
Well, first and foremost, I want to look back at stolen base leaders previously. So let's say we were doing this 5 years ago. Well, you already talked about Malik Smith led the league in stolen bases in 2019, and he was kind of on and off rosters throughout that season. Like Anthony had him for most of the year, um, but he was kind of on and off rosters. So we say, look, if we're imagining we did this 5 years ago, and if we looked back at say the previous few years before that, we'd be looking at guys like Mike Trout. I bet Billy Hamilton would have been one of the top picks. I bet D. Gordon, Jonathan VR would have been top picks. I bet Trey Turner maybe would have gone first, and he would have been an okay pick. But Jose Altuve, Mookie Betts, and then looking, it's just it'll be interesting. Not quite as chaotic as our saves draft, but I think this will be interesting. And yeah, if you want to randomize this, I can pull up random.org. We're in the same room, so you'll know I'm not cheating. Um,
Sure.
How about random number between 1 and 2? If it's 1, you pick first, and if it's 2, I pick first.
Sure.
All right. You're picking first.
All right. I will make the obvious pick and go with Marcelo Zuna. Just kidding. I will go with Ellie De La Cruz. I mean, need I say more? Like, I mean, he is just absolutely insane. And I want to use this as I know we talked about kind of we're doing this in honor of Ricky Henderson. And I want to put greatness, like the greatness of Ricky Henderson into some perspective here. So Ellie had a fantastic stolen base season last year. He stole 67 bases. Okay. Ellie, if you bump that number up to 70, Ellie would need to do that 20 consecutive seasons, 70 stolen bases, and would still be 6 short of the number of stolen bases that Ricky Henderson had over the course of his career. So, Ricky Henderson was fucking insane.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean, Ellie is awesome, and for Ellie's sake, I hope he steals 67 every season. But like, man, that is going to be one hard record to beat. But if any active player can do it, I think it's Ellie. So
That is true. He is definitely the best choice for the first pick. And we're gonna be snaking this, is that right?
yeah, take it.
So I will at the turn be taking Ronald Acuna and Bobby Witt Jr. Two juniors here. Acuna, he had the injuries this year. Obviously, how many did he steal this year? Still stole 16 in 49 games. That's not bad. Of course, had 73, went 40-70 in 2023. So I think he's definitely a guy who will steal plenty this year. And then Bobby Witt Jr. Went 30-30 2 years in a row. He's down from his 2023 total, despite having an overall better season, walking more and certainly hitting the ball better. He only stole 31 this year, but he's projected for 36. I think he's incredibly good and going to steal a lot of bases over the next 5 years.
Good choices. I can't fault you there. With my two picks, I will be taking Corbin Carroll with the first one. So he had the third most steals in 2023 at 54, only behind the aforementioned Acuna and Estuary Ruiz.
Ooh.
And I think Estuary Ruiz sums up how hard it is to draft or to project steals. You have a lot of these players who are one-trick ponies. Think the Estuary Ruizes, the Miles Straws, who just cannot hit. So if they can't hit, but they have some speed, nobody's going to let them, get a bunch of playing time, and they might not even be in the majors entirely, which is what happened to Straw this year. So a little tricky. But okay, I will take him. And then I will take with the next pick, CJ Abrams. So his stolen base numbers were down a little bit. He had 47 in 2023. This year he only had 31, but I like that he is going to play every day. And I do think that he is going to be a little better than the 31 steals he had. I think he's going to be closer to that 35 40. He'll be bad in the top of Nationals lineup for many years to come. So I think he's a good floor there. So I'm comfortable.
As long as he stays out of the casino.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, two good picks there. I am up for two now. I am going to take a floor guy. He's a little old, but I'll take Jose Ramirez. He'll get me 30 each of the next 3 years at least, and then we'll see from there.
Interesting.
So that's
I did not have his name written down.
not at all, huh? He's still 41 this past year.
No, I know, but he's like going to turn. He is 32 right now.
I think that's fair. Well, I will go young with this one then. I will take Julio. He's still 37 2 years ago. This year was a bit of a down year all across the board, but I think he's gonna bounce back, keep stealing bases. He's still only 23 years old.
Yeah, that's a great pick. And I think Jose will be safe-ish. I mean, I think you're right. If you let's say you get 120 from him, like that's pretty solid.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's good to get some pretty bankable. Okay, give me here two names I'm looking at. And I just want to confirm one thing. Okay, I feel good about this first one. I will be taking Jaron Duran.
Good pick.
Yeah, he had 34 steals this year in 160 games. Maybe he doesn't consistently get like 34, 35. Maybe he's more like the upper 20s or like 30. If I can get like 150 steals from him over the next 5 years, I think I feel pretty good about that. And then next one's kind of tricky. Another guy, I just feel like if he can stay healthy, I'm pretty confident that he's just such an electric player that he's gonna rack him up. Is Jazz Chisholm.
Good pick.
Yeah, he had 40 this year, which was a career high. It was the sixth highest in the majors this year. His previous high in the season before that was 23. That was the only other season he's played 100 plus games. What I do like in particular is that he had 22 stolen bases in 101 games of the Marlins, but then in 46 games of the Yankees, he had 18. So I think the Yankees might let him run a little more. So I feel really good. And yeah.
We shall definitely see. I am up for two. With my first pick, I will be taking Bryce Terang.
Yeah, great pick.
Yeah, he stole 50 this year after stealing 26 the previous year. He's not going to get on base a ton. I'm worried he might be kind of washed by the middle of this, but hopefully he gets a couple of years getting on base. Maybe he takes a turn and starts hitting better. That would be nice. And moving on, I'm not really thrilled by any of these names anymore. So I'm just gonna go crazy. Let's take Chandler Simpson. He stole 100 plus bases in the minors last year. He's in Double-A. He won't be up to start this year, but he's 24. He's actually older than Julio, but he's 24. He stole across high A and double A stole 104 bases. And he hit well too. He's no Billy Hamilton. He doesn't strike out. Um, he walks a decent bit. I think I'll be getting 4 full seasons of Chandler Simpson stealing a lot of bases.
Interesting. Okay. I did not expect you to go there, but I do like those picks. I think it's good to take kind of a big upside guy. I mean, um, even if he's not going to steal 100 in the majors, Simpson, if he steals 35, 40, 45, right, pretty consistently. Um, I mean, the Rays are a little funky with how they do things, but
Yeah.
they value speed and defense, maybe. Um, I do think there's some interesting major league names that you've omitted, and I'm going to take a couple of them next. First one being Bryson Stott.
Okay. He was a little further
31
down.
and 32 steals the last 2 years. So if he just does that, gives me that 150 number I've been kind of targeting. I feel good about that. I have no reason to think that he is not going to run. And then this one feels a little kind of gambly and like I he's like Chandler Simpson, but in the majors almost, where it's like I don't think it's a great bat, but I think it is a good enough bat where he is going to stay relevant. And I like that this team traded away an outfielder to ensure that he has an everyday role for this year at least, and that's Pete Crow Armstrong.
Okay.
Yeah, he stole 20 where was it? 27 bases this year while only getting 372 at bats. So, full season, maybe he gets to that 30 number. Can do that even for like 3, 4 years. I'll take that.
Yeah. Not bad. Maybe I took Chandler Simpson a little early, but that's kind of where he was on my board. That's kind of where I was feeling him. I will with my next pick be taking the Miso Man. 43 steals in 2023. That's down a little bit into 2024. He stole 31 this year. But he's kind of got that profile. He's not going to strike out. He's not going to walk. He's going to hit maybe high single digit home runs, but steal a bunch of bases. He'll yeah, just another Cub that's going off the board here. So Nico Horner. And with my next pick, it's starting to get difficult. I'm gonna check on one guy quickly. Oh God. Do I want to do it? No, you know what? Give me Ohtani. Yeah, he's still, even when he was pitching, he stole 26 bases in 2021. He stole 20 in 2023. He's not going to steal 59 bases ever again, obviously. But if he's getting 20 or so a year for the next 5 years, I'll be very happy with that.
That was wild. I didn't realize like when he had the 59 this year, I just kind of assumed there was a season in there where he stole like more than 30 before this. I didn't realize he never stolen 30 plus. I think for me, I think they're not going to let him run as much. I think he's going to have the red light a lot more when he's pitching, but also just as he ages, if we're looking at the next 5 years, he'll be 35 by the end of that period. So, but I do like the pick. I think in the short term, I think you're going to rack up a lot of steals. I'm going to go young here, and I'm going to go with Jackson Chourio.
Okay, good pick.
So he only had 22 steals last year in 148 games, but 14 of them came from July on when he started to get on base more.
Yeah.
So I think that number is going to look closer to 30 next year.
I would have taken him my next turn.
Yeah, okay. That helps to validate my decision. Another guy here who my first thought was he feels a little slapdick, which is funny because Blake Snell literally called him a slapdick, is Xavier Edwards. He had 31 stolen bases last year in only 70 games. He hit 328 with a 397 OBP. So, but he doesn't hit a lot of homers. He had one home run in those 70 games. It was a 423 slug, but like I don't think the Marlins really have anybody else to play. I think he's going to lead off and get a bunch of stolen bases, and we'll kind of see. I mean, I think this late in the draft, I could take a couple of gambles on guys who maybe there's playing time concerns by the end of those 5 years, but like I know in the short term, like he's just gonna steal a shit ton of bases. So
Fair enough. I will take a slapdick. What about Michael Garcia? He did not hit an ounce this past year, although there's some evidence maybe he was being BABIP'd a little bit. He hits the ball decently hard. Maybe there's a swing change and he'll start turning some ground ball outs into line drive singles. He walks a decent amount too, and he stole 37 bases last year. He's projected for 30 this year. I think if he gets some run in Kansas City, he will get some run in Kansas City. And with my next pick, it gets harder.
yeah, it's starting to dry up pretty quickly.
It really is. I'm just gonna look at two guys quickly here. Oh God, we each have 6 picks left.
I have a couple names in mind.
Let's go Anthony Volpe. He's had back-to-back seasons with in the high 20s of steals. He's projected to, or no, he's had back-to-back seasons in the mid to high 20s. He's projected to get 29 this coming year. He's still super young. I think they'll let him run this year. The Yankees seem to let Jazz Chisholm run. I'm sure they're letting Volpe run too, and he plays every day, which is good too.
Yeah, I like that pick. I'm out.
You are up.
All right. I will take Brenton Doyle with my first pick. He had 30 stolen bases this year. He had 22 the year before, I think, in fewer games. Yeah, 22. I guess there is some risk. Like he had a 203, 250, 343 slash line in 2023. I didn't realize it was that bad in 2023. He broke out last year. I'm kind of just gambling on him kind of keeping that up, but the stolen base numbers have been there. And then I check one thing. I am Here's a name we forgot about.
Oh.
That. Yeah, I'll pick him. He had 25 stolen bases in 2022 and 30 stolen bases in 2023. And then got hurt last year, but still stole a decent amount before the injury. Is Kyle Tucker.
Okay, good pick.
So I do wonder if I suspect he might steal a fair amount with the Cubs this year because he wants to establish some free agent value. Maybe he slows down a bit after that, but it also kind of depends where he signs. So I think there's a little bit of risk there, but if I'm talking about guys who are going to play every day and probably steal at least 25 bases, I think he's as good of a gamble as anybody, or maybe not as anybody, but a pretty good gamble.
Okay, not bad.
Yeah.
I have 2 picks now with my first pick, and now it's kind of guys we're thinking like, oh, maybe these guys will start to steal, even if they haven't. My first pick, though, I'll take Tatis. He's still 29 in 2023. Didn't really steal much in 2024, but he had the injuries. He's still quick. I think he's a good guy to gamble on. He coming off before this 2 seasons with 20 plus steals. He's my third junior.
I like that. It was either pre-injury or post-injury that he went on a little bit of a steal binge. I forget which one.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but he I think it was post-injury because it was a pretty nasty leg injury he had. I don't know how the hell he was playing through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. And with my next pick, let's go with Jake McCarthy. He stole 25 last year, 26 the year before, 23 the year before that. He's going to be starting in that outfield for the D-backs. He's one of the fastest guys in the league, and he's got to pick people. We maybe should have done 10, but
Oh no, I saw plenty of names actually.
okay.
He's one of those guys where I kind of question the playing time a little bit, that's going to look like in 5 years. But I mean, I think from a pure speed perspective, yeah, I like that. Um, I have four more.
You got you got four more. I've got three more.
Okay. I'm gonna take Zach Neto.
Oh, good pick.
Yeah, 30 stolen bases last year.
He was on my board. I accidentally crossed him off, even though he hadn't been taken. So I would have taken him earlier if I hadn't done that.
Yeah, that sucks for you. Yeah, 30 stolen bases. I'm a little concerned maybe with the shoulder injury and the fact that he did get caught stealing 10 times last year, that maybe they pumped the brakes on him a little bit. But I mean, this low in the draft, if I can get 20 to 25 from him each season, I'll feel pretty good about that. And I do think at the very least he is locked into an everyday role for the foreseeable future. I'm gonna take a bit of a risk with this next pick. I talented player if he can put it all together, but has not quite been able to do that on a consistent basis. That's Josh Lowe.
Oh,
32 in 135 games in 2023, and he had 25 in 106 last year. I think he's better than he performed this year. But maybe he's not as good as he was in 2023. But I think he can steal 25 to 30 pretty consistently if he gets the playing time.
cool. Josh Lowe was not on my radar. I am going to take a guy, maybe the poster child of can't get it together consistently. He has not stolen a ton in the past. He stole 22 bases this year, but he is fast, and I could certainly see a world where in the next 5 years he decides to start running. It's O'Neill Cruz.
I like that. I mean, he had 22 last year.
Yeah. So nothing crazy yet, but he does run. He got caught. Fangraphs doesn't tell me how many times he got caught. Only once. Okay, so there's definitely maybe leaving some steals on the table, and he is pretty fast. With my next pick, and I've only got two left now. Oof. You know what? Wyatt Langford's one of the fastest guys in baseball. He's got 90th% sprint speed. Maybe he starts running. He didn't steal much this past year, but he's just kind of learning the ropes in the major leagues. I could certainly see him taking a big second or third year jump in steals.
Ah, shit. Yeah, that was probably who I was going to take with one of my last two picks here. He stole a lot in September, and I think for him it was kind of getting comfortable, starting to get on the bases more, and actually being able to do it. My concern with Texas as a whole is they're not the biggest stolen base team. I think Bochy's a little more station to station. But I think he's a really good pick here, and again, he's going to be an absolute set. He'll be definitely playing every day over the next 5 years. So I have two picks left.
You have two picks. You're making two picks, and then I make my last one.
Okay. Since you went the prospect route earlier, I'm going to go to prospect route with two guys I think are two of the fastest in the minor leagues. The first one is Justin Crawford.
Okay.
That Philly outfield is old and not very good defensively, and I think he'll come up and play center at some point, and just he's Carl's son, right?
He is.
Yeah, I mean, enough said.
You're saying Johan Rojas isn't going to stick as their center fielder? One-time Cam prospect, Johan Rojas.
You had him as a prospect?
I did.
Oh, Jesus Christ, you poor soul. But speaking of our prospects, I'm going to take one of my own prospects,
Ooh.
Enrique Bradfield Jr.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's an 80 grade speed on Fangraphs. I think he is the Orioles' next starting center fielder. He'll replace Cedric Mullins after this year, and certainly soon. And he has the upside to be like a 35-40 steal guy. So
Yeah, no, good pick, certainly. It is up to me and my final pick, and there's not a lot of names that necessarily thrill me. Um, let's take Dylan Cruz. You know, he stole 12 bases in 31 games. Another rookie who took a little bit of time to get confident stealing bases. But he, um, down the stretch in just September alone, um, stole 11 bases in September in just 26 games, um, and only 110 plate appearances. That, you prorate that to a full season, that's 40 to 50. I don't think he's going to steal 40 to 50, but he is fast, and I like the upside here on Dylan Cruz.
Yeah. Enough said. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think he's a good gamble late, and yeah, he'll get that playing time.
All right, perfect. Well, yeah, so those are our boards. Good job us drafting some steals guys, taking prospects, things like that. I will, for the listeners, if you want to take a look, I'll get this all into the video description here. In the meantime, I'm adding up our scores in the saves game just to do a 1 year check-in. So let me quickly do that. Okay, so you are leading me in the saves game, 285 to 237.
Okay, I like
Um,
that.
I got the top two guys. I got Class A and Ryan Helsley, but I also took four guys who didn't get a single save this year, whereas you only took two guys, and one of them was Felix Batista. So I definitely
Yeah,
went upside. I went like Robert Stevenson, Brusdar Graterol guys I think could get saves in the
and they
future.
both got hurt.
Yeah, they both got hurt. I could still see Robert Stevenson getting saved down the line. I also gambled on guys like Johan Oviedo, who I think has a good pitch. One single good pitch that maybe could turn him into a closer. So I maybe,
That came out of nowhere. I still remember you picking on thinking like, what the hell did he just do?
I with my last two decided to get creative because you really never know where these closers come from.
Oh, 100%.
Um,
That's why I think it's harder in the field.
it was hard, but yeah, you have the lead on me. It's not over yet. I've got Class A. Um,
Drafting Presley was bad luck too because we did this before they signed Hader.
oh God, yeah.
Yeah, Adbert Alzolay too. Now he's hurt. Yeah, yeah. Michael Grove. I don't know what's going on with him. AJ Puck might get saves in Arizona this year if they don't sign somebody.
That'll be
Um,
nice. No one took Edwin Uceta though.
yeah, I wish I drafted Clase first in hindsight. I took Hader first. I did have the first pick in that draft. I specifically remember. Thinking maybe I should have gone the other way. That Jose Leclerc pick looks bad. As I said, after your rebate pick. I'm feeling good about most of these picks though.
Yeah, no, and this was always going to be a crapshoot, but you definitely had some good picks there. Mason Miller late was fantastic.
Clutch, yeah. Tanner Scott looks good. I mean, I'll take Kenley Jansen's 27. I still hope Orion Kirkering's gonna get that closer's job at some point. I don't think Jordan Romano is that much of an obstacle.
Yeah, that is true. We'll see. I only got 8 saves from Romano this year. That hurt me as one of my higher picks. Um, but yeah, so we'll check back in at the end of the 2029 season to see which one of us stole the most bases.
Jeez, that's a long.
And there's definitely going to be some names here. For example, let's look at the previous 5 years, 2019 or 2020 to 2024. The number one steals guy was Acuna. He would have been, yeah, Acuna Ramirez. Would we have would any of us have taken Otani after his 12 season or 12 steal 2019 and 10 steal 2018? He was number three in steals. Cedric Mullins was fourth over that time frame. He was nobody, so we wouldn't have taken him. Um, Trey Turner, Starling Marte, Whit Merrifield over the last 5 years. So there's some names. Bobby Witt Jr. I'm not sure had even been drafted yet.
Yeah.
Or
He was
maybe he
drafted
had, but he was.
in 2019. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So he had He had played one not so great season in rookie ball, and that was it. So there's definitely going to be some names at the top of this list who were just not on our radar during this, and that's going to be fun.
Oh yeah. Shit.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else we want to get into before we wrap this up?
No. I think we've done everything we've set out to do this episode. R.I.P. Ricky. Another great episode. I will say so. I bought a book called The Baseball 100, and it goes through stories about the top 100 players according to, I'm blanking on the name of the author, but it's a very good book. And every time one of those players die, which sounds morbid, I go back and I reread this section about that player. So I did when Pete Rose died earlier this year, but I haven't finished the book yet. I skipped towards the front just to read the section on Ricky, and it is wonderful. So partially a plug on that book, but just in general, I think there are so many good stories about him that are worth going out and finding. I mean, he was quite the character.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, tough year with Willie Mays and Ricky Henderson.
Shit, I forgot about Mays. Fuck. That was right before the game they played in Bama too, right?
Right, yeah, like 2 days before or something.
Yeah, god damn.
So kind of a downer note to end this episode. Anything that's less of a downer?
Well, we are recording our third episode live.
We are.
Also, for some reason, you have an undershirt hanging from your ceiling, and I really wanted to ask about that.
Oh, I forgot that was there. They came with a hook, and our ceiling also came with a hook, so I thought it was a good match.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode. 175, bit of a milestone. Getting close to 200. We got to do something special for 200.
Yeah, I think we'll hit 200 during this.
I would imagine, yeah.
Maybe towards the end.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, we got plenty of time to brainstorm for that, but that'll be a special one. 200 episodes.
God, yeah, I still remember when we did 100.
I remember when we did one.
God, I still remember that. Yeah, I was like, I still distinctly remember walking around my neighborhood in law school, like chatting you on Slack, being like, "Hey, what should we name this thing?" Yeah.
And do you remember what we almost named it? Oh God.
Oh,
I think we
God.
dodged a bullet.
Oh Lord. It was we almost named it Where's Wander.
Where's Wander? I think we know where Wander is now. Dear God.
Oh God. We would have had to have done an immediate rebrand. Probably would have had to have gotten rid of all the old episodes. Like store them on a flash drive somewhere, just like in a remote, wherever, just as far away from civilization as possible. Yeah, we really lucked out.
That is true. We lucked out with that. Nothing like that with Otani, thankfully. But yeah, we are 175 episodes of The Pitcher, The Hitter, and we will see you next time for episode 176.
Yeah, until then, Happy New Year.
I want you, we can bring it on the floor. Never danced like this before. We don't talk about it, dance on. Do the boogie all night long. Stoned in paradise, shouldn't talk about it. I want you, we can bring it on the floor. Never danced like...
This podcast is good.